All right, so good to start. Please let me know if you can't see the screen or any other thing you want to highlight. If we are okay, then let's begin and let's today cover these two things actually, data validation and indirect function. Okay, data validation is very simple and it's very useful for everyone because you can create the what you call you can bring the discipline in your data. You can disallow other people to uh, select the wrong values. You can make your own specific drop downs. Like for example, you're creating some global, you're creating some report, maybe doing some survey, and you want to provide a, uh list of let's say 50 countries to your user, and all of them are supposed to do their survey and research whatever, and then they want to submit that to you. So instead of selecting, let's say, India as IND, people are using INDIA. Some people are using only IN. So to have a standard, this standardization of your report, that people can't choose the things on their own. They are bound to select what you will provide them through those drop downs is something is covered in the data validation, right? So if they have to select any country, they can't select on their own. They have to be go in the drop downs, and they whatever the country name reflects there in those drop downs, they go and select that. So this helps you in when you are going to collect the data from different people. So everybody will have India as INDIA, and of course, let's say for America, let's say it's USA or whatever, right? This is called data validation, basically, that you validate your data. Uh, you create the drop downs also. Then we will discuss about the indirect function. See, generally now what happens, indirect is a function which people are not aware, to be very honest with you. Only people who have the very good knowledge of Excel, extreme knowledge of Excel, they use these functions. I like to cover this function because it's very helpful sometimes in kind of doing the data structuring. Okay, so I'll give you some good examples. Okay, otherwise, in from the VLOOKUP, like HLOOKUP type match function perspectives, you will not hear this function a lot in Excel industry, right? But this is very powerful function. Anyways, so these are the two things I'm going to cover. So first of all, let's start with the data validation. Okay, what is the data validation? Basically, I'm saying that how we can actually create a drop down. Let's start with this. How to create a drop down in the report. Okay. So for example, as I said that, let's create here some countries. Okay. So I'm going to write here, let's say India, USA, USSR, let's say England, and maybe Italy, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to create here a drop down. So my team, my people who are going to work on this report, they can select that country from here. So how will you do that? I don't want them to write India as like this. We should go and provide the drop down over here so they can choose the countries. So we will actually go in the data. Okay, we will go in the data, and this is where you see the data validation. Okay, so we will go and click on this data validation, right? This data validation also, in some previous Excel versions, this icon actually looks different, but it's always under the data tab, and it's on the right side here next to the text to column. So please, just in case if you're using a different version, don't be surprised. Okay, it would be there, but maybe with the different icon. Okay, and I think in some versions this data validation, when you hover, actually then you get to see the what you call the data validation. They have just given the icon, and I think it's Office 365, because on my other laptop I use Office 365. So I also was very surprised when I was not able to see the data validation here, but they have the icon over there. Okay, so the option is there, what I mean to say, in all the Excel versions. So we click on the data validation, and you see this is what you get, this pop-up. This is very useful for everyone, right? For everyone. So please pay attention. You find here setting input error alert. There are three tabs here. We will discuss all these three. The most important tab is the first one, obviously, which is also the by default option. Okay, so you see here setting, and in the setting you have to decide what exactly you want to do with this data validation. Okay, like for example, I want to create a list. List, what do you mean by list? List means whenever you want to create a drop down, you always use the list. We will discuss the other things also, don't worry. So I want to create a drop down. So you go and give this the icon. You select the option here, the list, and then you go and give the source. Okay, source means that, okay, so you want to create a drop down, you want to create a list. So tell me the source, obviously, right? So you can give the source. You can select those the fields over there, right? You can select the field over there. This one. If this is in on some other sheet, yes, you can select that as well. Okay, so that's not the challenge. Now, right now, I'm not going to do click on the input and the error. I simply say okay, because I want to actually first show you that how this dropdown is now going to look like. Look at this, India, US, and that's how now anyone can go and choose the state. Okay, the country. So let me give this some formatting actually. Yeah, fine. So this is how the drop down is created. Now, anytime if I want to actually go and write, let's say India like this, you see, I'm not allowed to do that. So this is what I actually was talking, that this is also one of the advantages we get when we use this the drop down, because now suppose if I send you this file, for example, I want you to go and do your own survey, maybe find out the economy, the GDP growth, and all that other things, number of states, all that. Now all of you are going to do your survey, so all of you will go and now use this drop down for the country. So it's not like that the person A sends me the data. When he sends me the data, he's sending this as IND, and somebody else is sending as INDI, And finally, when I'm collating the data, I just maybe want to combine the data and I want to do some analysis. So for me, the analysis on doing, or let's say on doing a country called India will give me the wrong results, because first of all, I will have to make these IND, or maybe IND, IAS, IND, and vice versa, isn't it? Because let's say I want to look up something. If I try to look up India and in my data it's IND, the things will not work. If I have to maybe use some summary function or counting function, which you have covered, because of these the gaps, ununiformity, and I will have the problem. So first of all, I will do go and clean the data. This is called data cleaning, right? So to avoid that, I think this is the best thing. So we just go and give the drop downs, and people then will go and use those drop downs in this way, right? And please also remember one thing, that um, um, from nowhere we are saying that this is a data protection. Data protection, I will teach you in the protection chapter, how to protect the data. This is not a protection. Why I'm saying? Because you see, anyone can change the rules. For example, I write here Russia. Let's say I want to write this as Russia, and I see that, okay, obviously it's a data validation, so it is right now there is a restriction, but I can change this restriction, and which I will teach you. I can go to the data validation again, and I can say that, okay, you allow me to write what I want. Okay, so that is something we can do. And also, somebody wants to check that from where this data is coming. They can do that. How they can do that? Well, they go in the data validation, and if you're on the right cell, you first of all have to be on the right cell. You click here, and you see that this is the data validation. So you can see the this called the source, right? Even if it is hidden, you can go in the list and you can see from where it is coming. So if I go and put here the Russia, obviously what will happen, now the next time if I click on this, the list would have been refreshed. Look at this now. The list is refreshed, and now I can go and use this Russia. Are you getting the point? So we are not talking about here the data protection. We are only telling that, okay, our audience can do some mistakes, because of which we will have to then later on do a lot of data cleaning. So let's make a robust data, that where we allow only uh, the terms which we are using in our data, they should be same for everybody, right? basically the purpose of the data validation. One of the purposes, there are many, I will discuss all. So this is first of all very clear to us that how easy it is to create these data validations, isn't it? Right? So once this is done, fine. Now, suppose, suppose as I said that now you know how to edit the data validation also. By the way, we must understand, we must know the shortcut key as well, which is RDL, right? This is the shortcut key uh, to activate the data validation. Okay, for example, I'm here, I say RDL. You see that the option is coming. Okay, so now what if I have to delete this data validation? For example, you don't want to keep this data validation. If you are on the right cell, you can say clear all. Very nice. If you say clear all, what will happen? The data validation will be removed. Okay, that is the first thing, right? Okay, now where I can use apart from that, okay, so people are going to do the survey and you want that they should select the only these the countries, you know. Now let's imagine that you have given these files to be, your team, and maybe you're not in office, and now they say that okay, oh, there is a France country which you have actually not you forgot to include that in the list, right? So it's very easy. What they can do is that they can increase the list. They can go in the data validation all DL, and they can simply go and provide this list to maybe uh, let's say 15 or maybe 13, so from A8 to A15. Now from A8 to A15 you will have that extra space. So if I go and write here, let's say France, what is going to happen by default, automatically, sorry, this will be included, right? So because you have given the extra range, so anyone can extend the range as well according to the requirements. If tomorrow your list increases, you can do that very easily. Or sometimes what we do is that because we know that this will happen, maybe not today, after a week, after a month. So just to make our this data uh, you know what I say that just to prepare, prepare ourselves from these sort of problems, we can always leave the extra range. So I can just go and put here 1500 also, or 15,000 also, doesn't matter. Okay, so anyways, so you can always do that. So now you know that how to edit the range, how to clear the range, how to create the drop down as well. So three things we have covered: how to create a drop down, actually how to create a list, I should say, or drop down, right? You know how to clear it, how to clear, or I say that remove, and then how to check, actually how to find out the list range also, and uh, how to change the source of the list as well. Okay, so these are the things we have done. Now, as I said that, so let's go here. So we can copy also, guys. I can copy this and I can go and create this list. I mean, so let's say I want to create this list here also. So I can just say that Control C and Control V, and then we just go and delete all this. Deleting content, the cell content will not delete that data validation. You can see data validation will be gone only if you go inside this and you say that I want to clear all. So if I select the entire range and I say I want to, go in the data validation and say clear, everything will be gone. If you select only a single cell, then then only that particular cell will then be removed from the data validation. Okay, so this is so simple, right? So anyone now can go and select this. If you see that how I'm without clicking here, I'm actually able to expand this data validation. I'm using the same shortcut key. Do you remember in the filter also, I gave you one option, which is actually how to expand the filter drop downs. So it's actually the same option, same shortcut key, Alt plus down arrow key. Okay, down arrow key. Let me show you again. Alt down arrow key. See this. And then what I'm doing, I'm using up arrow, down arrow, whatever I want to choose in this way. Okay, so you prefer using the shortcut key because it saves your time like this. I hope this is clear to us. Okay, so that's how you can go and create the list, right? Now the next thing which I want to talk is that, as you said, as you saw, that if I want to add any country which is not a part of our data validation, this will not be allowed by default. This will stop us from entering any such entry. Like for example, so let's say I write here Ukraine, for example, like this. You see that this is not going to work. Now, what if, imagine you are working on a project which obviously will be used by your team, and you want that people should be given a soft warning that, look, what you're trying to enter is not a part of our data validation. So first of all, if you are entering, if you have entered something wrong, then please go and cancel the entry. Okay, by mistake maybe you have entered something, right? And second thing is, if you're sure that this is not in the list, but still you want it, still you want to add it, then you should be allowed. So how we can customize that? This is also possible. So what I will do, I will not do any changes over here. I'll keep this here for you. Okay, this is our new list. This is our basically a new data validation. Okay, so what we are supposed to do in this case, first of all, I'll select the right range. Okay, and then we go in the data validation, all DL. Please pay attention here. There's a last tab, this called the error alert. Error alert. If you see here the style, by default this button is always stop. That's why you were not able to enter a new value which is not a part of your list, because by default it always says stop, right? Now I will not do anything here, but I'll say that, the Excel, the message which Excel gives, that message most of the time people are not, maybe my audience is not that in the, used uh, to Excel. So I want to give the simple information here that you cannot enter this because this is not a part of a list. I mean, I'm trying to customize the error message, because right now the message which comes, like for example, if I go and try to write something, this message, though it is clear, but still we want, what if I have to customize this? The value does not match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. Now, maybe a basic Excel user will not understand this. Okay, so we can do one thing, we can customize this message. So what you do is you go in the stop, in the title maybe hi user. So this will be shown on the top. I'll show you. And then here you can say that not in the list or whatever. It's up to you. Maybe leave your number or whatever. I click OK. And now you see, if I try to write ABC, that's what you see. Hi user, this is the title. Okay. So if you want to customize it, then you can. Up to you. Right? So we have retry and cancel, not in the list, right? So this is the first thing. Now, what is the next thing I want to tell you? In this also, when I started this data validation, I was telling you that how a user should be allowed to enter a value after a warning. Okay, so let me first use the not field. So let me do this here. We go in the data validation. Instead of using the stop, I'll use the warning. Don't use the stop then. If you want to just give a warning, and then you want that, okay, if user says no, I'm okay, I know what I'm doing, then he or she should be allowed to enter the value, right? So you go and give the warning or info, whatever you want to give. Info means generally this is an info sign, and the warning is different. Warning actually is a different sign. It's a warning sign. These are, we have seen these the signs on the road as well, right? Especially when we go on the highways, isn't it? So this warning is simple, a warning icon. Now let's say I want to say that, okay, I want to give you a warning. So I say that, are you sure you want to add this? Are you sure? Or maybe I say that add only if you are sure. This is not found in the list. Okay. And the user, let's say I say that, good day. This is not mandatory. I mean, if you want to keep the title as blank, please do that. Okay. So warning and info are same except for the icon. What they will do, they will allow people to enter their own values. Like for example, as I said that, if I have to write here, if I have to add here, let's say I want to add here Mexico. Okay. Now you see that there is a retry option is not there. You remember in the when we were using the stop button, which is the by default button, it was giving us only three options, I think: retry, cancel, and maybe something else. I don't know, but there was no option of yes. Now you have the yes. You have given the warning also, and user say, okay, it's my mistake. So user can cancel or no, say no. Then the list will not be added. This country will not be added. But let's say user know that, okay, actually it is not in the drop down, but yes, I still have to add it. So user will be allowed to enter. Look at this now. Okay, but please, this does not mean that this Mexico is now going to be a part of this drop down, because if you go inside the drop down, you will not see the Mexico. You are allowed to enter that, but that does not mean that by default it will add that country also on the list. Because if you want to add this country, somebody has to go and add this Mexico in this list, and then we must have that list also incorporated in the data validation. Okay, so these are the few of the things that in the data validation are very helpful. Okay, now this is fine, but what is the other use? I mean, this is just like, is it only for the drop downs? No. Well, this is you can create your summary reports as well using the data validations. I'll give you one very good example, especially if you are uh, creating some sort of let's say summary report for your employees, where you want to just change you want to see the salary incentive earned by the employees, the moment you select employee ID and the numbers changes, like that. Or maybe department wise, that I leave it to you. I'll just create here one very simple data, and then let's see that how we can do it. So for example, we have here employee IDs. Okay, so I have your employee ID and let's say name, okay, and month, for example, and then let's say salary, okay, and then let's say department. This is what I want to do, and maybe as I said that you can add as many headers as you want, right? So let's say I'm using these headers. So for me, employee ID, let's say starts with 100, and so I'm just going to use only these four IDs, okay. And so for name also, I'm using, let's say, name one. Okay, name one, name one, name two, name three. So these are employees' name, for example. And this is their Jan month. Okay, like this. And salary department is fine. We'll just go and add this. So let's say these are finance, and let's say quality. Okay, and this is the IGP score. Again, this we will write later. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to have this employee data for maybe 3-4 months. Okay, let's copy this, paste this here, March, March. So I'll keep this for 4 months only, because I just have to give you the idea, and you can use this then in your report. Let's say, okay, okay. So let's say this is the salary in dollars. Let's say weekly salary, something like that. Okay, and I go and do the formatting. How you can do the formatting of this if you have to go and put the currency? Well, I think all of us know this, but still, let me show you this. Right click on the range and use the format cell. See this, right? Format cell. Format cell, we use this a lot every time we have to format the values. You can use this format from here also. See that format cell. Okay, let me give you a snapshot. This is under the home tab. Under the home tab. Okay, so format cells. So one is that right click and click on format cell, and the another one is the under the home tab. Under home tab, right side format. Click on the format. This one. Okay. So there we go. So now you have a snapshot also. Now, what people do not know is the shortcut key of the format cells. Okay, Control 1. This I had shared this shortcut key with you, right, in those notes. So Control 1 is pretty cool. I think I use this most of the time. See, Control 1. Okay. Anyways, so now what I have to do, guys, I select the range first of all, and I say Control 1. Now in the Control 1, you have the number here. Okay, of course there are other options also, but this is the one option we have to use. So please find out here where is the currency. I see the currency here, so it can be in rupees. Now depends what you want to do, and there are a lot of other currencies also. So you can use English currency, any currency you can use as long as the icon is dollar, right? USA, Australia, whatever. So let's say I want to keep this as dollar. I click OK, and look at this. This is fine. Now you see the dollars, the decimals are also coming. So let's go back. We don't want to show these decimals. So again, Control 1. Actually, I have to go and this is by default always on the two decimals. So please go and change it. In case if you do not want, fine. Let's say there are some cents also you want to show, well then it's a good, you can use this. But for us, there's nothing after the dollars. So that's how it is. Okay, cool. Now, sometimes people understand this that now this is actually a text. This is not 186 because you have put the special character here, which is a dollar, isn't it? Right? Like for example, if I go and write one and dollar, right? You see, this is still on the left side. This is not on the left side. What is the difference between this and this? There's a big difference. Though they look like same. So you see, as if you remember that numbers, that fundamental numbers can be a text also. You see, right now this is not a number because you're using a special character here, which is dollar. So if I try to say I want to add 10, let's say I want to add a 10 to this, maybe I'm thinking that this will give me the $11. No, you are not. These are the fundamentals, right? So that's why I'm clearing all these concepts. You can't because this is not actually a formatting. If you go here and you want to add something, can you do that? Yes, you can. Why? See, control 1 does not change the numbers to a text unless you want them to be a text. You can use this text also, right? Just for information, but we don't do that. So currency, the formatting I'm using is just to format the data. It means that I want to see the data in this way. It is not going to change the data type of this number. You can still go and add or subtract whatever you want. Okay, so this and this both are very different. Make sense? Now, how do I know that this is actually a text? Well, obviously, you go in the formula bar, you can see here there is a dollar sign here. So somebody must have used the dollar by pressing the shift key and then the three or what? No, it's four actually. The four from here, that number key, right? But if you go here, you don't see the dollar here. See this? It's a big difference. This means that this is a formatting which is done. There's another way you can check. You remember, I can use here is number is text function also. Now, if this is a number, it should say that true, but this is not. So obviously it means this is a text. And how this can be a text? Well, maybe somebody has first of all taken this data from outside. That can be a reason. Maybe you have copied the data from text or CSV file and you paste it here. During that operation, maybe the data type changed, or somebody has put the single quote here, right? Or maybe this is a genuine actually a text that somebody has literally put the dollar sign there. Okay, so these are the things. Fine. Okay, so again, random between, and so let's say this is a score. So I keep the score as like this. Okay, fine. So, and yeah, fine. So this is all okay. Now what I want to do, I want to Alt IC, Alt IC, Alt IC. Now this is where I actually want to create a summary report. Okay. Now what I want to do, you see, I want to say that, okay, so I want to select that person name, select employee ID. employee ID or name, whatever. I mean, it's up to you. Let's say we prefer using the employee name for this report. Okay, or maybe employee ID. Again, I mean, you can see what exactly uh, how do you want this report. So we want to create here a drop down. Now, the moment I choose here the employee ID, I want that the list here, which gives me the employee name, which gives me the salary, as on date salary, total salary, let's say, total salary as on date, which is called year till date, isn't it? Year till date. And then the department of the person, and then the IGP score of the person as well. Okay, so in the IGP, we want to check actually the average, not the total. Because obviously, why I'm going to add up the IGP score? It doesn't make any sense, you know. You never add the scores, right? If I have to see that name one has got 89 in January and in the Feb now, if I try to add them, this will not make any sense. I mean, scores are if you're adding. I think this will not make any sense. So that's why I'm saying, as on date, give me the average of the IGP. These all employees have given their test in Jan and then Feb and then March and April, right? So we want to just see the how what is their average score before we decide that who is applicable for the maybe promotion or whatever, right? So that's basically the plan. Okay, so the it's very simple now. I'm going to create here a drop down because we want that these people, the employee ID should come here. Now, if I go and choose this in this way, and I know that in future I can have more data, so maybe you can provide here this 180. It's up to you. Okay. The problem here is that if I choose in this way, I will have a lot of duplicacy of my these employee IDs because this is coming from the entire data. So, you know, this is not a good thing that you're using the same ID again and again, right or wrong, right? So what we can do is we can first of all go and create this list somewhere else. Okay, I can copy this and I can just somewhere here where user can't see, let's say here, maybe in the last column. I can copy this, and if you remember, we have done this before that go in the data and you can use the remove duplicates, right? So I say remove the duplicates, and this is the final list. Okay, so we often use the last column to for ourselves. I mean, just in case if you want to hide the things from other people, you can put this anywhere. But you know why in the last column? Because anyone can come here easily by using the control right arrow. Because if I keep somewhere in this column, it will be difficult for me to track. So that's why I'm keeping the field over here. Okay, and also I want to tell you one thing very important. This also sometimes becomes a nightmare for us, that if you go and put anything in the last column, this is the 16,000 column, right? The last column of Excel. Now, you know, in your data, if let's say here, you want to insert a column. Let's say you want to insert a column here. Okay, so what you will do, Alt IC, or you simply say insert. This is the error which can come, and then you will not be able to figure it out. Microsoft Excel can't insert new cell because it would push non-empty cell off the end of the worksheet. Well, this is a very long explanation, and I mean, this has been there, I think, from the from more than a decade, and this has to be in a better way because a normal person, normal Excel user can't understand this, right? Basically, what it says that I cannot I cannot push the column on the right side because the problem is that there is no space for me. Because when you insert the column, you know, this has to go here and this has to go here. So every column actually moves to the right side. But this XFD cannot move because on the last column, you have put the data. So if you see this type of a error, next time, please go and check if this is written over there or not. 101% this somebody has because of this the whatever they have written here. Maybe if they're not written here, please use the control down arrow, obviously, because this can be here also, this can be anywhere. So what you have to do, you have to go and delete this. You have to tell your that person that you know you have to go and use this maybe from some other column, but not here. So you can use this in any other column, doesn't matter. But if it is in the last column, Excel will not allow you to insert any new column. Okay, so this is again a very, very vital information. correct? So this is fine. Now we don't want to insert the column, so I'm okay. So I go here and I say all DL, and now as I said that, I can just go there and I can select this, the employee ID. Okay, and I will keep the error alert on stop, which is by default option, because I don't want the user to write anything here. Okay, in fact I can say here that you can't, you cannot select any ID other than except what is in the list. Okay, fine. Let's give this message also to the user. So now we have this employee ID. Fantastic. Now let's go and give some coloring. So let's choose. Um, I generally prefer using the dark colors. So I'll go with this, maybe this one. Okay. I can use some different font. You can use your favorite font. Let's say I go and go with the uh, maybe Arial. Okay, fine. Right. Now this is okay. Let's remove the grid lines also. Now this data can be anywhere. It not necessarily we have to keep the data here. This is, I'm just giving the demo. Generally data is always on the different sheet, guys, isn't it? So this is where we will create the, basically what I'm going to do, I'll just go and create here maybe uh, okay, so I'll just use this and I use the white font. Okay, now I want to create here some grid lines also. Let me give you some very cool these tips and tricks of using the grid lines also, because generally people when they create the grid lines, they use this simple the grid line, or maybe no border, right border, left border, but you can have a colors as well. Like how? See, what I want to do is I select this entire thing and I go here and I say that I want actually here the more border. Okay, or maybe you can choose the without going in the more border, you can choose the line color also. By default the line color is this, but you can choose any of these colors, and when then once it is done, then you can go and start drawing those the line colors over here. You can have the line style also. By default it's the simple line style, but you can use these line styles also. Okay, so instead of clicking on this, I'll go in the more border. I think this is more easy for you when you are going to do this for the very first time. Later on, you can use those options. Right now, this is my border. Okay, I first of all have to decide which what type of a border I need. I mean the style of the my line. So if I select this and I now this is a preview. So if you start clicking here, you see that this is telling you this is how your the border will look like. See that? This is the border. Okay, if I have to, let's say, change the middle one, I select this one and I click here. See that this is also, so the combination can also you can write. Okay, or if let's say the you want to use very thin line, you can use a thin line also. Again, it's up to you. What do you want to do? Okay, so finally this is done. Now this is all the line style, guys, but I want that this line style should also have some light color, because my background is black. So if I use this, I may not be able to see this because this is by default black. So what I do is I choose maybe white or any other color. I'm going to go with the white. If you go with the white, then you have to, the moment you click here, you won't be able to see the color. So right now, just to explain my part, I will create maybe this one. Okay, this one. Now, if you again go and re-click, you see that the color is also changed now. Do you understand this point? So we have two things, line style and the line color. Okay, so this color you can choose it from here, and then you can choose the line from here. If I click here and now I click here, you see this is how it is. Okay, or maybe I go with the all these thick line. Okay, I will use this one, or maybe I'll go and let's say use this one. Select the line, click there, and then the line is created. So if you click OK, you can see that this is how, if you see the borders, right now these are only two cells, so it's not really giving that the clear picture, but you can see this is actually created. Perhaps here if I create the same thing, you will see, because here we have a 4 5 cells and it's a bigger range. So if now again I go and say more border, and now what do you want? Well, again, this is uh, let's say, okay, so let's use this color. Okay, let's see how it is going to look like. So I select the color. You see, this color is also changed, and I'm now going to only use this one on these corners. Okay, and maybe this one inside like this. Click OK. You see that? This is how it is. You see these the borders also, right? The borders. It's very dim, so it's not really looking so cool. I think, I mean, if you actually want to highlight this, if you want to make this brighter, well, you can choose some other different the line as well. Okay, so let's go and use maybe something else. Then we'll come back to the immediately to this original topic. We'll not waste time. So in the border, I prefer using, okay, so let's say I want to use this color. I actually want to show you this. So let's use this color. Okay, click OK. Look at this now. Can you see that? Right? This is how it is. Okay, and in fact, the borders are these borders are not created. So these the middle ones, these lines are not created. So I think we have to click one more thing, which is this line we do not click. You see, this line is also there. No, there are different segregations, right? Like this. Okay, so what I do, I use this one and I use this one. Okay, so I click OK, and now look at this. Now you can see that the border actually is very much visible. So I mean, again, it's just a matter of 20-25 minutes. Go there and play with those options. So anytime if you want to create some good borders, you can do that as well. Fine, right? So let's come back to our agenda that if I'm creating this summary report, I want that the moment I select any ID, I should see here all the report. And remember, it can be 20, 30, 40 headers as well, right? So you can create all that bunch of those I mean the proper report you can create. So how I'm going to pick the employee name? Well, as I said that your data can be anywhere, it doesn't matter. Okay, uh, we will simply go and use write functions like to fetch the name. Doesn't matter which employee, I mean employee ID is here repeatedly coming, but name is not going to change for that employee ID, isn't it? So if it is name 2, it will be name 2 for that employee ID. So for we can use here the VLOOKUP also. Okay, because I just want to know the name. First instance, second instance, third instance for VLOOKUP will all be same, isn't it? So we go and pick this and we go in our data, and this is the employee ID. You can use the index as well. Okay, so that's how I just keep my form the name here. Okay, so maybe let me just quickly write here Shivani, let's say Divya, okay, and let's say Venkat and Shiv. Okay, so these are the names. Copy, paste. So, okay, so that's how we have got our name. And now you can see if somebody go and change the employee ID, the name will also change, right? Looks like there's some programming, there's some code is created, but it's a simple Excel skill. Now we are talking about here the salary year till date, which means as on date, how much salary the person has got, right? So we can use the sum if you remember, right? Maybe you can say that, maybe you can ask me, so what if Ajay, instead of wanting this, okay, so let's say this is a good thing, we are collecting the total salary as on date, but let's say I want to see the month salary as well, isn't it? I want to see the month salary as well. So we can create one more drop down here, which can say, okay, so if you select the month, if you select the month, we'll go by the month. If you select in the month, if you select, let's say all, then we will go and give you the entire of the salary as on date. How can you do that? Right? So you see, your these are your month. So just create this list anywhere. I'll keep this list here. Jan, Feb. List is small, so I can write it. Otherwise, you can use this, copy this, and remove the duplicates. This is my list. I will also do one thing. See this now. I will also keep the all, let's say. Okay, what is the plan? If somebody say all, then it means we'll give the total salary. If somebody selects the month, then we'll give the salary for that particular month only, isn't it? So you see, so many things now involved here, and we are going to use all our uh, the functions we have covered in the past. So I provide the list here. Okay, that's it. Now let's quickly go and do the same formatting. Copy this, go here, paste special, paste special. You know this paste special, right? So you see formatting are also there. It is now going to save our time. Beautiful. So let's align this on the right side. This is how I want to go and use this. And maybe I can move this from, let's say I want to keep this somewhere here. Yeah. Oh no, I want, let's say, yeah, here. Okay. So now the point is, Venkat, obviously, the lookup is picking the employee ID. Month has no role. So Venkat is coming. Now you have to do here salary. How will you calculate the salary of this person? Or no, calculate means how will you get this, the number for 102, which is actually for the February. How will you do this? Who is going to tell me? Please tell me. How I can find out the salary of this person for the month of the February because user has chosen the Feb. How I can do that? Because if directly I simply go and use the VLOOKUP and I say VLOOKUP pick the 102, VLOOKUP will pick this salary, which is 185, because VLOOKUP picks the first instance of 102, isn't it? So how you can go and use the month also? I mean, how you go and say this to VLOOKUP that look 102 is okay, but it is from the February month. Yes, I'll give you 15 seconds on this. Okay, tell me that what is that very first thing which right now should come in your mind, is coming in your mind that if we can maybe do this sort of job, then perhaps we can find out the salary of this person for the month of the February. What is that thing which is required here? Hmm. How will you create the employee ID unique? Because we are talking about here the Feb employee ID, right? So you can simply go and insert here a one column. Now to insert the column, now see, it's not going to allow me. So what I do is I'll just keep this range over here. Okay, it's very simple that you simply go and say that you are going to be concatenated with the month, because in in 1 month one ID is coming, right? It's not repeating. If according to our data, if we are talking about Jan, the 100 is not repeated. 100 is only one. But then when there is another 100, it's not Jan then, it's Feb. So here again the same concept, you actually have created a unique combination, right? Now to tell the VLOOKUP, I'm telling you a very important thing. It's very, very simple, but it's very useful. Here also, you have to go and now tell the VLOOKUP, please go and pick the combination of employed in month, because VLOOKUP works on the simple concept that both the fields are to be unique and they should be present in both the tables. You can't pick simply 102, because if you pick the 102 here, 102 is not available and VLOOKUP will give the error. Now there are two options. Either somewhere here you go and join them. Remember AND operator like this, and then we can go and give this a white font so user should not see this. Right now we will say that VLOOKUP you pick this one. That is the first thing, which is easy, right? There's another thing which you can do, which is what? Which is what? I will say, let me create the concatenation right over here in the formula. Why not? Like this. Can you do this or not? Yes, we can. Make sense? So 102 is joined with the whatever the month, and then we're going in this data and we are going to pick what is it? The salary, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let me know if you don't understand this. Okay? Sorry. See this, the salary is coming. Obviously, I can go and say control 1 and I can give the formatting. Okay? Let me keep the decimals, no problem. Look at this now. So now if this employee ID, the month is changed, see what's going to happen. Can you see? It's coming for 185. Hope you understand this. Okay. See, now this is not required, but I'm not going to remove this. Sometime what happens, some people also prefer not concatenating the lookup inside the formula, but they just go and pick some other cell, some other helper cell. So again, it's up to you. How do you want it? Okay, fine. So that's how we have created it. Now, here is the important point. What if, what if I select all? 102 all is not available in your data and it is not going to be available there. So as a result, VLOOKUP will say, I can't find this. Of course, I can write if error, but is this what we need? No. We are saying that if you select all, then we will give the overall so far as on date the total salary. But because 102 all is not here, so how I can do that, right? Are you understanding the question, right? Because for any month, the number will come, right? Because these all months are available here, but all is not there. So we will say that if if L2 is equals to all, use the SUMIF, not the VLOOKUP. Because in the SUMIF you remember, in the SUMIF we can say SUMIF. What is SUMIF? SUMIF is to add the numbers based on a condition. So we will say SUMIF, go in this range, go in this range, employee ID, pick whatever the employee ID is selected, right? And then against that ID, go in the salary and whatever the numbers you get against that employee ID, just add them and give us. So we are using the if month is all, then do this. If the month is not all, then what? Well, then it must be some individual month, isn't single month, isn't it? Well, in that case, obviously this VLOOKUP will be used. So we are using if, and in the if we are using value true parameter and value false parameter. In the value false, we'll use sum if or whatever the VLOOKUP, or and in the other parameter we'll use different function because the condition is like this. So I will simply say here, if you are all, right? Then what? Then it means I want to actually see the total. There's no month criteria then. How I can see? I can't say sum, right? I have to, because this is a criteria based addition. What is the criteria? It has to be a 102 employee ID. And if user changes this, it has to go accordingly. Okay, so I just say SUMIF. And SUMIF say, give me the range. You all know that this is range. Let's freeze this. And then the criteria. So criteria obviously is this L1. Okay, I will not go and write here 102 because next time this number can be changed. This employee ID people can change, So we will go and write L1. And then what? And then sum range. What do you want to sum? Once this criteria is there, well, we want to then pick the salary like this. That's it. What if this L2 is not all? Well, if the L2 is not all, then just go and use the VLOOKUP, which is actually using a combination of ID and month here. See that? So it becomes 102 Jan, 102 Feb, and so on. And then it goes here and picks the value for you. Let me press enter, and there we go. Okay, so now I'm seeing here the total, actually the salary. If I go and change this to April, you see the numbers are changed, right? So that's how these summary reports can also be created using these drop downs. Okay, same way department. Well, for department, we don't have to do anything. Again, simple VLOOKUP, and this is the table from where we will start because department will be same, right? And so I want to pick the first department of that employee, first instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there we go. Finance. Okay, so finance is there, and the last thing is the average. Again, in the average also we can use the same function, that if it is all, then I want to go and use average if, right? Average if. What is range? This is the range. Criteria is this one. This is the criteria, right? And against this employee ID, I want to pick these. So some average will average out the numbers. And if it is not all, then whatever it is, again, we will simply go and, you know, say the VLOOKUP, use the combination of this and this, right? And then go in this table. If you're paying attention here, we every time we have to write formula, this the formula in every cell. I could not drag this formula. You can't drag actually because everywhere the function is different. Here we are using average if, in the previous we were using the sum if, all that. So you have to go on every single cell to write the formula. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. So this is the average when you select all, and this is how it is. So what do you think about this? Now, obviously these are just 4 headers, but as I said, if you have more headers, then then this report will look very nice, very beautiful, because maybe you can have more information here, a person date of joining, a person maybe where that person sits, the zone or whatever, the manager, all that stuff. So this is basically the thing that how you use the drop downs. Okay. Any questions we have? Are you understanding? Right? Okay. Fine. So um, that's how basically you go and create these. So I have educated you about the borders as well, right? I can show you this once again. Like for example, sometimes the formatting also matter a lot. So you want to maybe go and use this. Like for example, I go here and I want to create, let's say, more border. Okay, so more border you have seen the line color and the line style also. This is also the same thing, but see what happens basically. First of all, I say line style. So I use this the line style. Let's say this one. Okay, you see that now this icon is coming. So I can go and use this in this way directly here also. In the if you directly go inside the more border, this directly applies on that particular range. But if you go from this option that I want to use this line style, they give you the kind of that the freedom, that okay, so now you click on this and this pencil mark gets activated. So you can go anywhere and you can go and draw these. For example, see this, maybe I want these here, isn't it? Maybe I want to go and create this with this the color and this type of a formatting, right? And then I come back here and I say, okay, I want to change now the color. Okay, maybe I want to use, let's say, this color. Okay, so you can do that as well. See this? So this is also fine. So after the color, you can say that, okay, in this color, I want actually this line style. So you can use this also. Are you getting the point? Obviously, if your table is very big, then there's no point of wasting the time on this. I mean, if you start writing this, start doing this for every 500, 600 lines, this is not the right thing. Then you go and use only the option which I said. Let me press escape first of all. When you press escape, see that marker is gone, the pencil is gone. So I can come back here. So let's say this is my table, and so I just want to show you this thing quickly. Let me have let's say this, the background. Okay, so background is fine. I want to give the border now. Okay, sometimes I use this a lot for my summary pages once all the work is done. So I prefer this line, and let's say I go with the maybe the white. Okay, so in the white, when you click, you may not be able to see that clearly, but it's just the practice. So I click OK, and you can see this is how it is created. Okay, so obviously you can have somewhere the orange line as well. Like for example, you decided that okay, this is looking good, but maybe because I have the headers here, and in these headers I want to have some different color. Yes, you can do that. For that, maybe then what you do, you want to take the control into your hands. So you go and say, okay, I want to actually go and use this line, or maybe let's say the yellow one. Okay, see, right? So now I can just go and pick these. If you want to change the line color, the line style, you have to go back there and change uh, these dotted dots to, you have to switch over to something else. Okay, so small things, but very important from the presentation perspectives. Okay, so bordering is also an art, bordering. Okay, so always remember that this is the direct control they give you. Select the color and then the color line. If you don't select the line style, I mean, then by default the one we have, this one, that will be there. If you go in the more border, then in the more border, again they give you the option to choose the color, and they give you the option to choose the style, and one can easily go and click on these options to see that how my border is going to look like when I press the enter. Okay, this is how it is. Fine. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Summary report. And this was a quick revision for you on the VLOOKUP part also. Okay, now let's go to the next thing. You see, let's say I want to, you are entering some transaction IDs here. Let's say these are the transaction IDs. This is the range. Let's say people are supposed to write these. Uh, let's just go and click on this border. Yeah. Now you see it has it's picking the previous line which I selected, and obviously I don't want that on this sheet, right? So again, how to get back to the original color, isn't it? So you just go have to make sure that the line color should be the one that you actually need. Okay, so once this is done, I will simply go and select this, and now you see that we are back in the same, the black line. Okay, so that is the first thing. And obviously now the color is changed, but the line is not changed. So if I try to create the border here, this can again bother you that why this is coming. You should know that because of your previous steps, the line style is still this one. So these things can come and give you kind of those troubles, right? So I go back and say that, oh, okay, I want this line. Okay, once this is done, the pencil mark gets activated. Press escape because you don't want to use the pencil. Just say escape. Okay, fine. Now, if I go back here and now I try to click here and I say that I want this, this border with, so these all actually are quick. Basically, you can say a fastest way of putting the borders. So when you go and create the borders from here, if you ask me that, so Ajay, what are these actually? These are the pre-built borders for you. These are the ones which generally we use, because if you go in the more border, you have a freedom, you have more flexibility to create your own type of border where you can keep the thin lines with the thick lines and then dot dot dot. But generally we don't do all that. we prefer using these borders. One of these borders, I think this will suit your requirement. So this is another, you can say, to save your time, they have given you these. Okay, so there are three things on this border. First, I can use these options. These are the borders. If you use this one, then as you can see in the image, only the bottom border will be given, right? And the left and the right borders will not be there. So maybe you can use that. If you use this, this is the one we most of the time use. As you can see here, this is the one I have used, right? So the border is there, border is coming, right? So I don't have to spend the time to by going to the more border, right? So this is the first option. The second option, as I said, that you can just go and say that I want to maybe have one or two lines, in my own way. So you can use this line style. You can say, okay, I want this in this way, and now I just go and use this just for this particular, maybe cell, maybe, that's why it is there. Once it is done, say escape, and the pencil is gone. The third option is this one, the move border. Okay. So now next time, if you have used a different color, and the on the next sheet, if you find difficulty, the same color is repeated, you know that what you have to do. You have to go here and say that the color which by default is this, and then line style which by default this is the line style we use. So you can go and switch from one border to the another line, border line to the another line. Okay, fine. So let me delete this. Okay. So now, as I said that, we have here transaction IDs, and let's say you want to create a rule that anytime any transaction ID, if it has more than 10 characters, user should not be able to enter that. Okay. Now, how I can do that? This is a data validation. Well, it's very easy. I simply go and select again the range where you want, right? And then we go in the data validation or DL, right? In the setting, I simply go and say that, okay, what I want now. Now we don't want a drop down, guys. So don't use the list now, right? We just say that any normal value, if it is entered, check the spellings. So we can say the text length. When you select the text length, this is allow. What do you want to allow, right? Like for example, I say that there are different options. So I say that you are allowed less than 11. And in the error alert, again, you can choose anything you want, stop or in just information. You know what will happen if I use the information or the warning? They will be able to edit it. I say stop, and I say that transaction ID cannot be longer than 10 characters. For more information, please contact admin team for any concerns. Okay, if you want to understand why is it so, you can contact us. Correct? So now let's try to enter something like this. You see that? It's not allowed, right? So this is also data validation. You're validating the data. If I enter something like this, oh, it's done. You see that? Makes sense, right? You see that it's not allowed, right? And please remember that here I can write anything, even because data validation is put only on these cells, right? If you want to quickly go and say that, okay, I want to apply this here, so you say Control C, Control V, right? And then you start typing here. You see, data validation is copied also. So you can copy the data validation from one cell to another cell, from one range to another range also. You don't have to redo the same thing if you want to apply the same data validation. Same way, there are other data validations also, right? I'll show you one more. Let's say here, enter age. So you want to write here, you want to give here the age, let's say, and you want to make sure that it uh, should be between 1 and 100, for example, right? So all DL, go here. Now you can't use the text length, right? Because we don't want to calculate the number of characters. So I can use whole value, decimal, date, and time, whatever you want. If you want to put the date validation, you can do that. I don't want people to enter any date which is before 2022, 1st January. You can do that. Select the date and the date window will come. So you can put here start date, end date, because this is between. And if you change this will also, this the tab will also change, right? Accordingly. So I say whole number and I say that it is, okay, so I say between, let's say this time, let's use between 1 and 100. And again, you can put the error alert, whatever you want. So simple. So if I put here 88, it's allowed. If I put here 103, it's not allowed. Okay. So these are the things the data validation can do. Is it clear? Any doubts we have? Okay. Now the next thing which I want to talk, similar to this, there is another very, very useful thing. This is more useful actually. More, so when I say more useful, I mean generally if you look at the Excel usage, the things we use in Excel, whether you are advanced Excel user or intermediate or maybe basic, uh, conditional formatting, if I say it has more usage, it only means that uh, it's not that I'm saying that this is kind of you know uh, more priority. No, in Excel, whatever you learn, it's always get used somewhere, right? The only thing is that these are the things which most of the time we use, right? A conditional formatting is means that based on the criteria, you can color the cells. Like you want to create some report and there you want to show the red color, where in those cases where you have not, let's say, delivered as per the performance, right? Your target actually was fallen short, right? You want to show the green color also where you have met the targets, like these things. So from the usage perspective, conditional formatting is more used than the data validation. But again, as I said, they have their own importance equally, right? So conditional formatting, as I said, that it's basically to color the data. These colors are the ones that you go and choose, and then later on anyone can say, okay, I want to just say that no fill. Anyone can change that, right? But condition formatting is very different. Condition formatting happens on the criterias. If criteria meets color, otherwise don't color. And then people can't say that, okay, this color is, let's say there is a color coming here due to the conditional formatting, and they go and say no fill and the conditional formatting will be removed. No, conditional formatting will not be removed. Let me first of all give you very basic example. Suppose you have here team 1, team 2, and team 3. Okay, let's say, let's say we have here these teams. Okay, and let's say they have scored these goals. Maybe these are the, let's say, football teams, for example. Now, what you want to do? We are saying here that, let me change the grid line. I don't want actually this the line style actually. Let's come back to the original one and let's go back here and use this one now. Yeah, there we go. So what I want to do is I want to say that uh, if the goal is 0, right? Because negative can't be there. So if the goal is 0, it should be red. Okay. If the goal is between, let's say, 1 to 3, it should be good. 1 to 3. If a goal is greater than 3, then this is actually excellent. Let's say this is what I want, right? How can do that? Based on the number, automatically the color should change. Okay? Because I'm not going to color them manually. It's difficult for us to color the entire cell. So what we can do is, First of all, you have to select the range where you want to color. I want to color here, right? Everyone, in the home tab, you have the conditional formatting. Go in the conditional formatting and set a new rule. These are also the options which I will tell you after some time. These options are available inside these tabs also. But this is again, as I said that, this is like this, that you want to do this quickly. You want to just directly use some sort of already created things. So that's how it is. In the conditional formatting also, we have some of these templates which from outside without clicking on the new rule, I can go there. Okay. Anyways, the first step is that we want to create a rule. If that rule I want to delete, I can use the clear rule also, right? So if we have a starting point, there is always an end point also. Clear the rule from the selected cell, clear the rule from the entire sheet. It means conditional formatting can be removed from selection, or if you want to remove this from wherever it is applied, you don't know, right? You can use this option also. Anyways, right now we are starting, so we should click on the new rule, right? Can I click on the new rule? You see that I got here the new rule. There are so many rules, and I will explain all these one by one because you never know which option you will actually be required to use. So first of all, format the cell based on their value. This is something you go and use based on the value, based on the cell value. Like in this case also, we can use this, but I'll come to this option later because that's not something we are right now doing it. Let me just show you all these options. So when you click on these options, the window also changes, everyone, right? This window actually is designed based on these options you can see here, right? Because these are all different options, right? So which option you have to use, let's go and discuss that. And then of course there is a practice. First of all, if I want to color the cell based on the value, I will use this format only cell that contain this one, this window. See this, right? So here, cell value is there. What do you want actually? Well, I want that if the value is equals to 0, if the value is 0. Now, which value we are talking? These values which you have selected. So when I apply the conditional formatting is very intelligent. Conditional formatting will check all the cells one by one, and then it start comparing this condition, or I say that it start actually applying this condition on every cell one by one. And then based on that, whatever the color you're going to now right now select, provide this color to the conditional formatting, that will be applied. Very simple. So let's click on the format. What do you want in the format? I want a color, so go in the fill. Which color you want? Well, we would definitely want the red color. Okay. Now, when there is a red color, I want font to be white because that makes it more visible. So go in the font color. You see, this is the font color, right? Automatic means by default it's the black, but I want this font color, the white one. You can select any font. It's up to you. I want that to be bold also, or maybe let's say bold italic. Okay, let's click OK. They are going to give you the preview that's how the color combination is. Are you happy with this? No, I'm not actually happy. I do not want the italic. It's looking too much of customization. Okay, go back to the format. Please go again in the font. And now, obviously you have to off this option, right? So you go either select regular means the normal text, or bold or italic, it's up to you. So I say no, I will go with the bold, but not the one. So I can come back here. That's the point I'm trying to clear. Click OK and you see the preview is fine. This is what I need. Yes, I click OK, right? When you click OK, you see condition formatting is done. Obviously, there are other two conditions also, but For that I have to go back to the condition formatting again. But you see, this is how it is applied. Now it's not so easy to remove this from here. You say no fill and this is not removing. Are you getting the point? So somebody else is suppose the sheet has come to you and you're trying to say no fill and then you wonder what's going on, why I'm not able to uh, unfill this, why I'm not able to make this colorless. So it's because of the fact that conditional formatting must have been applied there. Now the next thing is, okay, so I want to check that conditional formatting, right? Maybe for I want to learn, or maybe I want to remove it, right? Any there can be lot of reasons. So how will you check what conditional formatting is applied? Well, then what you have to do, you have to select either the entire table or any cell to see what exactly is happening there. Go back there and say manage rule. When you click on the manage rule, manage, so something which is already created can be managed, isn't it? If there is if there is no rule we have created, when you click on this option, you will not find here anything. Okay, it's quite obvious thing, right? So look at this now. I can see the formula here. The cell value, if it is 0, this is the what it is going to happen. So now you know that, okay, so this is the formula is applied, right? Now let's say your management said that we would like to see a not a red color, maybe yellow color. Condition remains the same. What will you do? Again, you will go in the manage rule. You will not say new rule, right? Why I'm going to create the new rule when the rule is already created? It's the same rule. I just want to change the color, right? So I say manage rule. I can see the rule. I can say edit. Again, you are on the same window. And then from here, I can go and use a different color now. That's it, right? If you have to delete this, as I said, if you have to delete this, select the range. If you don't select the range, then if you click here, if you click here, if you have 10 conditional formattings created on 10 different data points within this sheet, all will be gone. Remember that, very important. Okay, so whenever you delete something in Excel, please double sure that you are doing it correctly. Whether it is deleting a sheet, whether it is deleting a data, or it's like this. Okay, anyways, so I want that, no, I just want this to be removed from selected cell, not the other conditional formatting. So you can use this option also, right? So we have seen that how we can create the new rule, how we can clear the rule, which actually means remove the rule, where we have two options from the entire sheet or from the selected one, and then the edit one, edit the rule, isn't it? Now let's go and add the another condition, which is between 1 and 3. Okay, conditional formatting, you can press the Alt tab also. You see, Alt H L, because I don't think that there is any shortcut key for the conditional formatting. Maybe it may have come in the last maybe 3-4 years, if it is, because in the last 3-4 years we have got a lot of new things in Excel, but I don't know it. But I'm just telling you that, using the what do you call this, the ribbon also, the Alt key also, you can go inside the conditional formatting, right? Okay, so let's go back here. Same thing. This is the main tab. You have to select this wisely. Cell value between. So it's actually 1 and it's actually what? 1 and 3. So I go and use the 1 and 3. And now let's say we want to. So when I said actually the good, I meant that, I mean the color, you have to go and use the right color. So maybe light green, and for excellent dark green, I don't know, right? Uh, so let's go and use maybe, so we can use this color also, right? Or let me use the yellow. Let's keep this simple, yellow. Okay, click OK. Now I'm not, see, I'm using the fill color only. I'm not using any borders. I'm not using any font. Font I'm not using. I'm going with the same font. Unlike the last time where we use the font white. Okay, but just to show you how the border can play an important role here. Well, yes, so what if I want to have a border for this particular thing? So yes, so we can do that. So I, let's say, go and maybe use any sort of this, let's say this border. So the cell will also have a border. Okay, click OK. You see the border? You can see that, right? Okay, so see this. The border is created. See that. This is how it is. Okay, of course, I mean, uh, uh, this is not looking so clear. I mean, so clear, but I mean, you can check the those other things also. I mean, for example, if I simply go and go here and say that I want a simple border here, or maybe no border here, like this. Now I think the picture is clear. Now you can see that all the cells have no border, but this has. Why? Because this color will not go off. This is because of the conditional formatting, right? So this is how it is. The next thing is that again I want to set up the new rule. Again I go in the same option, and this time I say if the cell value is greater than 3, then let's give a simple green color and nothing else, no formatting, no cell bordering, no font. So I go and actually with this color. Okay, I click OK and I click OK, and look at this now. Anytime your numbers are changed, conditional formatting will also change, obviously. Okay, so that's how we can actually go and color the cells. Right now, what if you have to color the entire row based on this? Well, then you have to select the entire table like this. Because we selected only this range, so conditional formatting is applied only on this particular range. Okay, that is the first example of the conditional formatting. Very simple. Let's go and see what else we can do with the conditional formatting. Okay, so uh, let's say you have here IDs. Okay, uh, okay, so let's say that we have some transaction IDs here, and let me just go and uh, okay, so let's say these are your transaction IDs, and let's say revenue and engineer name who handle this, and date, for example, like this. Now what we want to do, we want to highlight the duplicate IDs in this because we don't need those, so we want to highlight it. Okay, so let's say this is how it is. Okay, so how I can highlight the duplicates, that's the point. How I can highlight any color, highlight the duplicates. In fact, when we are discussing the duplicates, maybe you don't want to highlight the duplicates, but you want to highlight the unique entries, isn't it? How I can do that? This is your table. Let's see that through the conditional formatting, right? So here, uh, first of all, let's say I want to highlight. So these are the IDs. I want to create some duplicate IDs here. So this is the ID. Fine. Some of the IDs you can see they are repeating, right? So I simply go and say that, okay, select this particular thing, go in the data, sorry, go in the home tab, conditional formatting, new rule. And now here we have a direct tablet, the tab called format only unique or duplicate values. It's very easy. You see, obviously now, why I can't use this one? Because how will you identify if it is repeated or not? Because this is all about between, greater than, and something like that, right? Something like that. So this is a pure calculation based on a value. Here we are talking about that if this is repeated or not. So for that, there is another tab which is called format only unique or duplicate values. When you select this, you get this window, duplicate. Okay, you can choose the unique also. First of all, we will duplicate. Now, what do you want in the duplicate? Well, I simply want that duplicate should be in the red, for example. Click OK and click OK. Very simple. You see that duplicates are highlighted. Again, let's go back to the conditional formatting. Range is still the same. Select the selection. New rule. Go back here. Maybe if you're interested in highlighting the unique, you can use the unique. And for unique, I use a different color, maybe this one. Okay, see this. You see that? Do you understand the point? Right? So we can use the conditional formatting in this way. And as I said that you cannot say no fill or I try to change the color. I cannot do the changes in the color. If I have to do the color changes, I should first remove the conditional formatting. Or I should go in the manage rule and change the color from there. If I have to keep the conditional formatting, but the color should be changed, then we can go in the manage rule also. Clear? Any doubts we have so far? You understand what is happening here? Now, when you practice, how will you know that what exactly we have done here? As I said, of course, you can refer to the lecture, but what if you cannot watch the lecture? You can go inside select the cell, and then through that cell, you can simply say manage room. You will see all the options here. See this. And if you want to edit, you can edit. Okay, that is how it is. Right? Okay, so now let's say there's another thing. I copy this, I go here, and I say paste value. Okay, now let me remove this. What I want. Now please understand. Let's discuss another thing. You see, let's go in the conditional formatting. Let me show you the window. Like we have here format unique or duplicate value, right? There's another tab we have here, format only values that are above or below average. What do you mean by that? Well, if you say above or below, there are others also. Standard deviation is also there. I just have no clue about the standard deviation, but these are there. Above or below, I'll give you the above example. Same way you can use the below also. You see, it says above the average for the selected range. System is so smart that system knows that what is the average of this entire range, right? So I'm saying that anywhere where you find, let's say the average is, so we can see the average is 641 here, right? The total average of the revenue. Now I'm saying that above average, if any number is there, which means above 641, it should be actually highlighted as a green or as some different color. You can use that as well. So in this way, we can see that, okay, so this is something extraordinary performance, because generally the project, the department, the team average is 40, but these are the above average people, and the rest actually below average, in this way. So you don't have to go and calculate the average separately. It has this option available, above or below average. This option is already there. Same way you can format the cells top or bottom wise also. This is again a very useful thing. Format only top or bottom ranked values So here I can say top or bottom. I say that format the value that rank in top 3, for example. Let me use a different data. So let's go here. Okay. I've not used actually this option, ranking. Let's see that maybe they have included this in the recent time. But how I see this is that this is actually going to tell you the based on the value. The higher value means the better rank. But anyways, let's see that. It's looks very interesting. So I say that you give me the top 3 values. Okay. And this is percentage of the selected range. Now I really don't have any idea about this. Let's cross verify this. Percentage of the selected range. So percentage. Okay, so first let's go with this. I say that top 3 should be, let's say, yellow. Okay. So how it is going to calculate this? Is it going to give me the top 3 values like 1076940 and I think yeah 973? Is it what exactly it says? Yes. This is very cool. So you see, you can use the top and the bottom also. If you see, you have a bottom option also. So let's click on the new rule. So I can have the below also, right? Sorry, this one, bottom. Now, how many bottom values you need? Well, that's up to you. I say that bottom 3 I want, right? And again, you can color this. See that. So if I change something here, let's say 1. Yes, this is how it is. Top and bottom. So we have here top and bottom, and uh, here we have uh, unique and duplicates. No, let me see that what we did.
Average.
Average,
Then
above
average.
average and below average. So you see, these are the by default, the things for you. I mean, you really don't have to uh, create any sort of extra efforts. You don't have to do. I'll tell you one thing. I had told you this. I shared this thing that I started Excel when it's like we had Excel 2003, right? Uh, After that, 2007 version came, then 2010 came, then 2013 came, then 2016 came, and then Office 365 came, and the Office 2019 came, and then recently I think 2021 is also there, right? So when in 2003 Excel, these options were not available. So all of us, we always used to create the formulas, and based on those formulas we used to do some sort of these arrangements. I'll give you one example. What do we mean by that? See, if the option is not direct option is not there, you simply can't, as I always say that okay, I can't do this. You can't give up. Maybe you can try then the other methods, uh, which is by taking the help of other of the columns or the rows. Like for example, if the same task I have to do this, I have to do the same task. Let me remove the conditional formatting from here, right? And let's say this option is not available, or maybe you don't know this option. Let's say, okay, let's say I have to do this. How I can do this? Let me remove this. Like in 2023, what we used to do? Well, then of course we can calculate the average. What a big deal. We can calculate the average of this entire thing, right? Right? This is the average. So what a big deal. Now why don't we simply go and compare all these numbers one by one with this number and say that if this number is greater than or equals to this, it should be green, otherwise red or whatever. We can do that, right? How I can do that now? See this. I'm going to select this, right? I'm going to select this. I go here and say new rule, right? Now, obviously, these options, as I said, we are not going to use it, right? These options, we are not going to use it. What about this option? Now, in this particular option, if you go and say, if it is greater than 641, right? If it is greater than 641, please go and give it a format, the color, which is called green. The things will work for you, right? But you have to understand one thing, that in this particular case, if tomorrow the numbers changes, the average will also change. You have to come back here and edit the same, isn't it? Right? So why don't we go and see that there is another option which says formula. Now, formulas are generally, when you use the formula, how do we uh, this interpret the formulas? They're different from constants, right? When you look at the formula and the constant, the first thing which comes in your mind is that formula is always dynamic. It it is always going to give you the new value, the changed value, the accurate value. If you have applied the VLOOKUP and the database changes, of course VLOOKUP will go and give you the new value. But if you have used a like sort of control F and then you have searched some employee ID and you paste it there manually, you have to do this every time. If the data changes, that constant will not change. You again have to use the control F, right? So this is how we take the formula, the concept. Now here also is a situation that average formula is applied here. If I make this number 10, 10, 10, average will change, right? So we have to go and think of a formula which can do this comparison and which can use this not as 641 but as E1. So for those sort of things, the formula tab is there. And through this, you can do any type of a magic. I cannot go and explain you those uh, the what you call the advanced the levels also of the conditional formatting, because first we have to understand these small things. Okay, but if you see, if you are a very good in creating the formulas, you can create the formulas and you can put those formulas over here and then compare the things. So conditional formatting is not just that, that using these tabs. They have given you the formula tab, so in the formula you can be very powerful. There's no limit. Anyways, so here what I'm going to do, well, pay attention here. I'm telling you one very important thing. Well, the formula actually is this, that if this value is greater than this value, if you want to write equals to, you can, but I'm saying greater than, right? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Well, I want to actually color this too. Let's say maybe this color. Okay. Now pay attention here. What is going to happen? First of all, let's see that. Okay. I click OK, and then you wonder what happened. Why it is not coloring? Why it is not coloring? You see, there is no color coming here, right? Now I'm going to do something. Now the entire thing is colored. So condition formatting is working, but it is not working as per my expectation. Please remember this very important point. Your conditional formatting is correct, but you forgot to do one thing, which is what? Which will happen in the whenever you use the formulas, you will have to take care of this thing, which is what? Let's go in the manage rule. Let's go in the edit rule. When you select the cell, conditional formatting puts the dollar by default. If you put the dollar, what is happening for this entire range, there is always one formula, which is B2 greater than E1. So for this cell also, it's actually comparing 888 with 691 because this dollar is coming. So we must go and remove the dollar from here, so that conditional formatting should go from B2 to B3, B4, B5, B6. But you must not remove E1 because E1 is fixed, right? So the dollar is there. If you remove this, what will happen? B2 greater than E2, B3 greater than E3, and the things will be wrong. So this happens in the formulas because you go and use the formula, you go and pick the cells, Generally in Excel, you create the formula and then you try to pick those, you try to use those cells, right? So when you select the cell, what happens? Conditional formatting automatically inserts the dollar. See this. When I say this, you see it's automatically inserting the dollar for me. Okay, like this. So I must see that what exactly I want. Right now, dollar on the B side, E side does not matter because I'm not going to keep this on the left or the right. So either you remove this or keep it here, it does not going to have any adverse effects on my this data. So I simply say, okay, and now let's see, apply, and look at this, fantastic. So now any number if changes, you see the average will also change. And based on that, you will have more green color, obviously, because average is now 537. Because of these less numbers, the, you know, your average will also change. Okay, so I mean, if I put here any number, average is going to change, and based on that average, the result will also change, right? So this 5, now it's comparing with the 5 and 4. But right now, since you have already got this above average, below average, you don't have to do all that, but in the background it's also doing the same thing. Okay, so that's how it is.